We've done our bulleted lists in Word and made them look a little bit more interesting, but what about if we could visually represent our list to make it a picture instead of just a boring, straightforward list? Let's see how easily and quick it is to do that. Here we've got a list, characters, 2 points underneath it, dialogue, plot, etc., etc. And while we have a fancy hand pointing, we could also change this one. Let's have a look at how quick and easily we could make this into a visual representation. So we come somewhere down here at the bottom of the document, and from our Home tab, we go back to our Insert tab. And once again, we want to do an illustration. So we look at our illustration group, and you will see something called Smartart, an absolute fantastic feature, which I think you will get endless use out of. We actually want to do a list, which is the second one on here. And I quite like this list with a heading, and so it's horizontal bullet point list. And we say, okay. Here jumps up some lists. How do we get the text in? How do we change this? What do we do? First of all, for our text, the first one we're going to do is characters, main and featured. We can just click on the text and type in characters. Perhaps it would help if I had a C in front. Characters, and then we've got our main character. And you just click on where it says text and start typing. And our, I don't know, what was it? Main and featured. And our featured. And our featured character. But maybe there's a quicker and an easier way of doing this. You might notice a tiny little left arrow here. If you click on it, it actually gives you your bulleted list. So for our next one, instead of text, we've got dialogue first and third person. Click on where it says text and type in dialogue. Whoa, great spelling there. Try that again. Sorry about that. And under dialogue, we had first person, oh, I can't type today, person, and then underneath it, we had third person. And you can just keep going like that. Once you've finished, you can click on the right arrow over here. So this just pops up your bulleted list and closes your bulleted list. What else can we do with this? If we click outside our Smartart, we see there are no additional tabs at the top. Click on our Smartart that sorts them all. We have Smartart Design plus Format. Let's go to our Smartart Design, and the first thing we want to do is change our colors. And there's millions for you to change. I quite like this one, for instance. Now it's starting to look visually more attractive. But what happens, I've got characters, dialogue, plot, and I need to do structure, theme, and time still. How do I get more squares in here? Like with everything in Microsoft, always many ways to do something. One way to do it is to make sure, if you've clicked on text, if we go to our Smartart Design, oops, sorry, click on text at the top, and there is something that says add a shape. You click enter, you can add a shape after or before. We want to do it after. Can you see you get a new box? So now in that new box we can do, so we've got plot and structure. Plot, and the next one is structure. But perhaps we need to put in theme and time as well. How else could we do it? Once again, we want to pop up our bullet list or our text. We find this arrow here. And can you see after structure, if you click there and press enter, whoops, I did it twice by accident. You've got a new heading, and we're going to type in here theme. and click enter. And if you press tab, it's going to give you your text at the bottom here. So on theme, under our bullet points are going to be, I don't know, our story and our moral, I don't know, and the point of the story. If you press enter again, we don't want another point under theme. We press enter again. Can you see it is given, and then a back tab. Oh, goodness. A backspace would do. So now we are on a new point, and we're going to type in here time. And under time, we are going to type in the start, the end, middle, the season, etc., etc. And we once again, we click on this arrow to let that disappear. Now you can see, instead of having a boring dialogue list, we now have quite a fancy visual description of your list. Much easier for people to read and to look at. What else can we do here? We can click, don't click on the individual heading, because that only brings up that particular thing. If you want to do changes to the whole Smartart, click just above them and you can see it opens up the whole thing. We know we can change the colors. Let's try a different color, for instance, quite nice and bright. What we can also do is change the Smartart style. If you click on this down arrow, just hover over it and you will see what your list looks like. For instance, let's try this one. So your options are to have a boring list or exactly the same list, but in a much more visually pleasing manner. And I think people will learn and understand it a lot better. So remember, in your insert button, you could insert an icon. We chose a clock. You could insert a picture from an online picture. We chose a character. You can insert a picture from the web. Plus you can do smart art, which will make your lists and your document much more visually appealing. That brings us to the end of our word lesson for 11 a.m. lockdown lessons with Terry. Please contact me, terry@muditaconcepts.com, and I'll see you on the next lesson.